Welcome to the OMG Show.
Okay, so, over the past 5 years, I've done a lot when it comes to online marketing. And I can tell you for a fact that the number one, differentiator between those that find success and those that keep stumbling over all their efforts are those that can really nail down the copy. Copy, by far, is, in my opinion, the strongest element that you can master. And even if you're not a copywriter, because I don't consider myself a copywriter, you need to know some principles, or you need to have some principles and understand how they interplay in order to have your sales pages convert at the highest possible ability that they can. And so that's what I want to talk today about on today's episode of the OMG Show, because over the past couple of days I've been doing a lot of reviews of different sales pages, of different landing pages. I can kind of see what people are doing wrong. It's kind of like a noticeable trend. So the first big thing that I see that you can make an instant change right now in your business is understand that people do not buy cold medicine. They buy a good night's sleep. Okay. That right there lets you know how to start writing your sales page. Okay. It's not your tool. They don't care about the tool. They care about what the tool can provide for them. All right. So again, they don't buy cold medicine. They buy a good night's sleep. And that's what we have to keep telling ourselves when we are writing our sales page. Are we talking about the right thing? Okay. You might think you're talking about, your financial services. You might think you're talking about your legal services. You might think you're talking about your dog biscuits. That's not the case. Okay. You're not talking about the tool. You're not selling the tool. You're selling the outcome. All right. So we have to prioritize and focus on the outcome when we're writing our sales pages. So right now, if you go to your website, your sales funnel, your ads, and you're talking about your tool, your dog biscuits, right? And you're not talking about the outcome, that is the first sign that you're not maximizing your conversions to the best of your ability. You're not optimized. Okay. So in order to optimize your sales page, right, you have to look at it in terms of outcomes. Am I talking about the outcomes that my tool, that my product or my service can provide? Right? Are those outcomes front and center? Are my headlines, supporting the outcomes? Are my subheadlines supporting my headline? Right? Are my testimonials supporting my headline? Right? And ultimately, the headline is the main benefit, is the outcome, is the good night's sleep. Right? It's not the cold medicine. Right? We don't buy Tylenol because of Tylenol. We don't buy, Advil because of Advil. We buy them because they relieve our pain. Right? So that's what we need to think about when it comes to the sales page. That's step one. It's like, are we focusing on the outcomes? Okay. Now, the next biggest thing, step two, right, is making sure that you're speaking in your customer's language. Okay. If you throw in a lot of buzzwords, a lot of industry jargon, for someone who isn't in that industry, it's like you're speaking Spanish. It's like you're speaking a whole different language. Okay? And that's not what you want, because you want to make sure that your sales page is easily consumable. Okay? I've said this metaphor before, but Donald Miller has a book called StoryBrand, and in there he talks about how your sales process, your website, your branding, your whatever, is pretty much a survive to thrive scenario. And the more complicated your sales message is, the more calories someone has to spend in order to consume that information, which means that you're taking away from the survival. So the easier you can make your sales page, the easier you can make your sales systems, right, the less calories your customers have to spend, right? So pretty much what that means is that you have to decrease resistance. And one of the best ways to decrease resistance in your sales page is to just simply write in their language. That it's really it. There's nothing more to it. It's just write like if you were talking to your best friend. Okay. One of the best apps that I like to use in order to achieve this is called the Hemingway app. All right. The Hemingway app is pretty nice because like you type in your text and it lets you know if the sentences are too complicated, right? If the reading difficulty is too hard. And best of all, it tells you what kind of, reading level your text and copy is. And ideally, when I write sales copy, for myself and for clients, I typically try to go for underneath a 5th grade reading level. Okay? Because that's kind of where the majority of people are. It's simple, easy to read, yet I can make my point. And it comes off as more conversational. All right, so we have to keep that in mind. Make sure you write in your customer's language. And kind of going in with that idea, it's about them, not about you. Okay, so if there's a lot of I's on your sales page, we have to rewrite that in terms of your customer. We should be looking at a lot more U's in the sales page rather than I's. Okay, and again, we combine that with step 1 in terms of focusing on the outcome. Okay, so far we have let's focus on the outcome and let's write to them in their own language. Okay, now the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the more major things that I see a lot of people do is they write backwards. And this was given to me by one of my mentors, and he's a great copywriter. When I come to him for copy, like, he has a way with words. It's awesome. So I consider him a copywriter. And he always told me that people tend to write backwards when they write, anything. So what that means is, in the reviews that I was doing over the past week, people will say, hey, here's my summit 2020, right? But then underneath the summit, they'll have a sub-headline that says, learn how to grow and scale your business. Okay, so what's more important to the reader? Is Summit 2020 more important to the reader, or is growing and scaling a business more important? Right? So in reality, the sub-headline should be the headline. Right? So the first thing that people should see when they go to that page is grow and scale your business. Summit 2020. Right? People have a tendency to write backwards in that way, and you can see it in many different ways throughout your sales page, specifically when it comes to creating the sub-headlines and the transitions between the sub-headlines and the paragraphs. More often than not, you have a piece of text in your paragraph that would act way better as a sub-headline. Okay, same thing with testimonials, right? Your testimonials have a couple words in there that should be a headline, right? That can stand out on their own. You should be using those. So we have a tendency to write about the thing first and then talk about the benefit, right? So we have to flip that. We talk about benefit first, then the thing. This kind of goes in par with step number 1, right? Where, again, we talk too much about the cold medicine. We're not talking about the good night's sleep, right? We want to highlight the good night's sleep first and then highlight the medicine, right? So have a good night's sleep, right? Get Tylenol today. Tylenol, you're not paying me, so hey, send me a check. Right? But that's pretty much where we need to be, is like your sales page, right? We have a tendency to write backwards, and we focus on the thing when the thing doesn't really matter. It's the outcome, it's the benefit. So we need to highlight the benefits first and the outcomes, okay? And then speak to them in their own language, okay? So by combining all these 3 different steps, you're going to have a heck of a way better sales page and or landing page. Okay. Now, I'm going to throw in another one because I like to do this. I like to use this metaphor a lot. I've used it plenty of times. It always makes me laugh when I say it. But like when I order a steak at a restaurant or anywhere, I always like to have a sauce. Right? I always need to have a sauce. And my go-to sauce is chimichurri sauce. I love it. It's tangy. It's vinegary. It's got the cilantro, the oregano on there. It's delicious. It's awesome. It takes your steak to a whole other level. Okay. Now, in terms of a sales page, the sauce is making sure that everything is just a little bit punchier. Okay. That your text just reads with a little bit of excitement, with a little bit of, oh man, this is awesome. That when someone's reading it, they know that you were having a good time writing the sales page. And I know if you're not a writer like myself, you're like, oh, I hate writing. I totally get it. And the trap is that we tend to follow like templates, right? Like bullet point templates, blog headline templates, all that kind of stuff. And it can become very regimented and to a point where it just feels like inauthentic, And so the best way to do that is just look at the template, learn from it, see the structure, but then add your own spin to it. Make it saucy. Have a little fun with it. Okay, and by making it fun, it's going to become off way more relatable. Sorry, I had a little tongue twister there. It comes up way more relatable, which then goes back into step number 2, which is speaking to them in their own language. So if we combine those three elements, right? So element number one, which is obviously making sure that you're writing your sales page by focusing on the outcome and the benefit. Step number two, speaking in their own language. And three, writing backwards, right? Focus on, the outcome, not the thing. By combining those three, you're going to see your sales page conversions increase, and also your landing page, and pretty much just generally anywhere else, specifically on your ads too. So take these 3 steps, apply them right now, and you're going to see. Okay, let me know. And then that's the end of this episode. See you all on the next one.